Now, y'all know I like to talk about money, especially when it's a lot of money. And when I say a lot, I mean the kind of money that makes you sit up and take notice. We're talking big money, the kind that makes your eyes pop out like a frog in a fly trap. The kind of money that makes you wonder if you're dreaming. Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to dive into a pile of cash so big it'd make Scrooge McDuck blush. Imagine swimming in a sea of greenbacks. It's that kind of big. We're talking about $100 billion. That's right, $100 billion. Just let that number sink in for a moment. Gone, wasted, down the drain. Imagine all the things you could do with that kind of money, and then imagine it just disappearing. You could buy a whole lot of duct tape with that kind of money. Enough to wrap around the earth a time or two, I reckon. Or maybe even 3 times if you stretch it out. Now, where did all this money go, you ask? Well, it seems like our government, bless their hearts, might have misplaced it. It's a mystery wrapped in an enigma. You know, accidentally spent it on something they shouldn't have. It happens to the best of us, right? But this time, it's on a much grander scale. Except this time, it involves Medicare and a whole lot of head scratching. It's a situation that leaves everyone wondering how it all went so wrong. Now, when you've got a mess this big, you need someone with a nose for numbers to sort it out. Someone who ain't afraid of a challenge. Someone who can launch a rocket into space and balance a checkbook at the same time. You need Elon Musk. That's right, the Tesla driving, Twitter buying, Mars dreaming Elon Musk. Seems our government figured who better to find wasted money than a guy who made his billions building rockets? They put him in charge of something called the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE for short. Catchy, ain't it? Elon, in his infinite wisdom, took one look at the books and hollered, "Hold my beer, y'all, we got us some wasting to expose." Now Elon and his team at DOGE, they're like those bloodhounds you see on TV. The ones with the floppy ears and the noses that can sniff out a ham sandwich from a mile away. These dogs are relentless, never giving up until they find what they're looking for. Only these fellas, they're sniffing out wasted taxpayer dollars. And let me tell you, there's a lot of it out there. They started digging through Medicare's paperwork. And let me tell you, there was a whole lot of paper. Stacks and stacks of it, piled high like mountains. It was like trying to find a needle in a haystack the size of Texas. A daunting task, but not impossible for the determined. But Elon, he don't give up easy. He's got that tenacity, that drive to see things through no matter how tough it gets. He brought in some of them fancy computer algorithms and whatnot, and before you know it, they started finding all sorts of fishy stuff. Patterns and anomalies that just didn't add up. Payments going to the wrong places, bills being paid twice, money spent on things that made you scratch your head and say, now why in tarnation would they buy that? It was baffling. It was a real mess, y'all. A tangled web of errors and mismanagement that needed untangling. Section 4. The GAO Report, a paper trail of bills. Now, it turns out Elon and his DOGE crew weren't the only ones who smelled something funny. Seems like the Government Accountability Office, or GAO for short, because the government loves their abbreviations, had been snooping around too. And guess what they found? A big old report from 2024 that said Medicare and Medicaid had, shall we say, misplaced $100 billion. That's billion with a B, folks. Seems like someone forgot to carry the one, or maybe they just dropped a decimal point or two. Either way, it was a whole lot of dough. Section 5, Fraud Busters and Whistleblower Hotlines. In this section, we dive deep into the mechanisms set up to combat fraud and protect the integrity of our systems. Now, I ain't saying that all that money was stolen or nothing, but when you see stacks of cash like that, it sure does make you wonder. But when you got that much cash floating around, well, sometimes folks get tempted. It's human nature, after all. It's like leaving a plate of cookies out on the counter with a sign that says, "Don't touch." The temptation is just too strong for some. Someone's gonna take a bite, and once one person does, others might follow. So, the government, They're trying to crack down on fraud and abuse. They're working hard to ensure that our systems remain fair and just. They're suspending shady agents, prosecuting folks who are trying to game the system, and making sure justice is served. And even setting up whistleblower hotlines so folks can turn in their no-good neighbors for double-dipping on their Medicare benefits. These hotlines are crucial in the fight against fraud. It's a wild world out there, folks. With so much going on, it's hard to keep track of everything. Just remember, when it comes to your tax dollars, you better believe someone's always watching. Every penny counts, and oversight is key. And if you see something, say something. Reporting suspicious activity can make a big difference. Unless, of course, you're the one taking those extra cookies. Then, well, you might want to think twice. Then I reckon you better keep your mouth shut. But remember, honesty is always the best policy.